1v1s is my worst game mode, and it's the only one where I've yet to hit GC, so after being stuck in Champ 3 for a while, I decided it was time to get some help. I've enlisted the help of my good friend and fellow content creator, Knight Rider. He is a 1v1 supersonic legend who has consistently been in the top 100, and he gave me some tips to try to rank up, so I thought I'd share those with you today, and hopefully that could help you as well in trying to hit those upper ranks in 1v1s. Let's get right into it.
Hey guys, I'm Knight Rider, and today we're going to look at some aspects of HK's game that he could work on to get to GC, as well as hopefully helping you guys in improving your ones game, whatever rank you may be at. We'll go over 4 main things to improve on today.
Shooting is one of the most important aspects of 1v1s. A lot of times it is a safer way to attack and can be near impossible to save. Knight Rider is going to go over some fundamentals to improve your shooting power, and then we're going to talk about shooting strategies to help break your opponent's defense.
So to get started on shooting, we need to make sure we're getting good contact with the ball. HQ has covered this in a few of his other videos, that you should flip through the ball to get the most power possible. But a common mistake I saw in his and others' gameplay is that they forgo this rule when the angle they're shooting from isn't a standard shot. Even when you're shooting from weird angles, like the side for example, we still need to try and get a centered hit. So wherever you are hitting the ball, imagine if we change the perspective to see the point of contact between the car and ball. Any touch you make should still be centered, meaning you're aligning with the ball's center of mass. Otherwise, sometimes when you hit the ball on the side, you might get a lot of touches like these, where you barely skim the ball, resulting in no power. So regardless of angle, make sure you're hitting through the center of the ball to ensure you're getting a solid and powerful shot from any position, or else you'll miss out on a lot of these free goals that way. Moving on to shooting strategy, when it comes to when and how you should shoot in a match, you really have 2 options. You can try and shoot to score, or you can shoot as a way to set up more offensive pressure. If you're trying to score, a good tip is to try and make the distance between the ball and the goal smaller. A power shot from closer to the net is much harder for the keeper to react to and will result in a really tough save. This is all providing your opponent can't challenge and he has to remain on his goal line.
So for example here, I could have shot on this bounce, but instead I attempt one extra bounce to close that distance to fire off a shot even closer to their net, making it more difficult to read and save. But this is only better if you can clearly see your opponent is planted in the net or if they have low boost. Otherwise, going for that extra bounce can be really risky, giving your opponents a chance for a free challenge.
If you aren't finding as much success with trying to score with every shot, there is another way to look at shooting. So say your opponent is in a good position to make a save and they have boost. Don't be afraid to shoot it early and high on purpose, with no intention of scoring. This will force them to use boost to make the save, allowing you time to go and steal their boost and continue your offense. If you think they're in a strong defensive position, this tactic forces them to relocate and potentially make a mistake.
For your shot to bait them out of net, make sure you're hitting it in an awkward position that doesn't allow them to get momentum towards the boost. For example here, the opponent placed a shot that was in front of me, so after the save, I already have momentum to continue on and get the boost. So, for example, to score in this situation, you probably want to shoot somewhere in the top right. But if you're going for the strategy to force them to waste boost and relocate, then you'd rather shoot either behind them or shoot somewhere slightly in front and above them, forcing them to use boost while keeping their momentum away from the corner boost, allowing you to go and steal it.
Bringing us to our next topic, how to maximize our advantage against low boost opponents.
But before we get into that, so he can see my mistakes, I played Knight Rider and got my butt handed to me over and over and over. So to help me feel better about the massive beating I took to make this video, hook me up by destroying that juicy like button, and hit subscribe if you're not already a part of the Boba family. Thanks.
So, once we have our opponents in a low boost situation, even if they have the ball, we want to stay as grounded as possible since their threat level is low anyway. When they eventually make a play, we can use our boost advantage to stop their play and take possession. Regardless if they win the 50 or whatever happens, since you have more boost, they only have 2 options. Either they go get boost, which will free up the field for you to take possession and attack however you want, or they can try and stick with you. And since they have low boost, they should have a very hard time saving anything that is too high or fast. If they stay close, you can simply flicker over them, or if they go back to net, you can set up one of those close power shots we mentioned in the previous section, putting on a shot that is nearly impossible for them to save with 0 boost.
Moving on to kickoffs. Kickoffs are the absolute worst part of my 1v1 game, and what I wanted the most help with.
When HK came to me asking for kickoff help, he told me that he loses way more kickoffs than he wins. And I told him it always feels like you're losing more kickoffs, but normally it's not actually the case, and it's probably pretty even. Then I watched one of his replays, and to be honest, I was really surprised he was even able to hit champ 3 with the number of kickoffs he loses. He works so hard for one goal, and then gives up a goal literally 1 second later on the kickoff. So let's make life easier for him and figure it out. Why he's losing so many kickoffs. He'd probably be a lot higher if he was able to win at least 50% of his kickoffs.
Kickoffs is basically Rocket League, rock, paper, scissors, and two basic rules I've learned. If you look at this example, let's say you flip in the same direction. The person who is more center will win the kickoff, since they'll stay with the ball better. While in this same situation, if they flip opposite of one another, the player on the outside will win the kickoff, since they'll be able to overpower and hook the ball over to the side that the outside player is flipping towards. Generally, you want to be the player that is more center though, since it is very easy to see which way the player on the outside is going to flip. If the player is here, for example, he has to flip right, or else he's just going to completely miss the ball, allowing the center player to force the first scenario where both players are flipping in the same direction. This is an incredible oversimplification of the rock, paper, scissors mind game that goes into kickoffs, so for a more detailed explanation, Knight Rider's kickoff tutorial has everything you would ever need to know about kickoff strategy, so make sure to check the description below if you're interested in that tutorial.
Now, issues specific to HK that you might be running into as well. Let's start with a general issue. For example, when HK makes a mistake on his kickoff approach, he should be thinking about damage control. If you make a mistake, you might end up making contact with the ball too low. So the best thing to do is to make sure the ball rolls up to the side. You can achieve this by hitting high up on the ball. This will cause the ball to roll up the wall and be relatively safe. If you don't do this and get too low, the ball bounces off the wall and comes back to the center where the opponent can have an easy shot on an open net. Now I've seen HK do some good approaches on kickoffs as well. When he does this, he's still often quite low on the ball, causing him to still lose the kickoff. Even if he hits the ball in the right way according to the previous rules, by flipping the same way as his opponent, the ball will still fly up over him. So if you see a kickoff where the ball flies straight up in the air and then towards your goal, you'll know you have the same issue. This typically happens when you jump too late to hit the ball. If we go to Coliseum for example, I normally jump to hit the ball right here, while HK was jumping to hit the ball here, meaning he doesn't have time to gain height before reaching the ball. If this is happening to you as well, you might also be doing your first flip too late, so you're landing way too close to the ball. Whereas if you do your first flip earlier, you'll still be able to jump correctly for the second flip. Another common issue I've seen is improper handling of when you make it to the ball second. Normally, as we've talked about, you want to get as center as possible, but when you get to the ball second, the opponent's hit will change what it means to be center. So try to get more height than usual when you realize you're going to get to the ball second. Since the moment they hit it, they'll punt the ball up a bit, changing what the center is. So to still hit the vertical center, you need to be higher. If you're doing a non-speed flip kickoff, you need to be aware of when the opponent is doing the fastest speed flip possible. That'll result in them hitting it on the side and getting it around you. Much like earlier, how you want to be higher to handle the new center. If you are getting to the ball second and they are hitting it around you, preemptively go to the side to handle the new center. Hopefully this can help you to understand kickoffs a bit better in a more dynamic way to help them feel less random.
Defense in ones is tricky. Usually in twos and threes you can just throw yourself at the ball, and when you lose the 50, the teammate behind you gets free possession. But in ones, if you lose the challenge, this happens. Especially when you're in a state of panic. That is when you open yourself up to mistakes. So one of the biggest things to learn is being able to assess an opponent's threat level.
Shadow defense is one of the most common situations you'll find yourself when defending in ones, but a huge issue is understanding your spacing. When the opponent is still getting set up or the ball is in a grounded position and non-threatening state, there is no reason to shadow very far away, or you're just giving them the chance to set up. But if the opponent has the ball on their car, or the ball is bouncing and they can take a shot, then make sure you're staying a good distance away, or else you won't be able to catch up to the ball and make the save. Good shadowing can help you consistently bring the ball to your corner and regain possession. Speaking of corners, when we don't have possession, a common issue is the temptation to chase after it. But the thing is, your opponents don't usually have a shot on net from here, so try to stay patient and stay in the net and ready to defend, because if you dive into the corner, you risk them getting a touch around you and scoring. Let them bring it in front of the net and you can go for an easy save.
Next we have faking. Faking correctly can force your opponent's otherwise scary attack into them simply giving up the ball. Unfortunately, I had very unconvincing fakes. I would kind of lazily drive towards the ball in a big circle, hoping they'd give it up.
So the thing about this is you want to make sure you're boosting into your fakes. This will make the fake look way more convincing. If you go into your fake without using boost at low momentum, it's incredibly obvious that you are going slow, so you can keep some distance and turn away quickly. If you're able to force them to either flick or make a play, then you should have an easier time making this save and taking possession.
With these tips, I'm confident I will finally be able to get out of Champ 3 in 1v1s, and hopefully they've helped you too. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to smack that like button on the way out. But really, what are you still doing here? If you want more sick 1v1 tips and tutorials on how to do advanced mechanics like double flip resets or sealing musties, get over to Knight Rider's channel. There will be a link in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and I will catch you next time.